Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. This video is all about planting squash, zucchini, cucumbers, picking the right transplants from stores, starting them the right time if you're growing them at home so that when they get into the ground they're in the right shape. I'll explain that in a second. We're also going to set up a planting hole, show you how I do that. It's basically the same setup I use for all the plants. This way they'll get off to a great start, and I'll just give you a couple of tips along the way. So let's start with what squash, zucchini, cucumbers, even melons like. They like upper 50-degree nights, 60-degree nights. They like higher 70-degree days, lower 80-degree days. They like the warmth. Don't start them early, they're just going to sit there. So you want to time it right. What do I mean by time it right? So if you want to start, these are squash seeds in here, if you want to start them yourself, you want a container about this size. 2 seeds on top for squash and zucchini. Press them in about 1/2 inch deep. They'll germinate outside in the warmth 4, 5, 6 days. From the time they germinate, you want them to grow about 2 to 3 weeks and then get into the ground. Here's a nice healthy squash zucchini plant. There's 2 of them there. I'll actually thin that out to 1 in a little bit. But that's what you want them to look like. That's how you want to put them into the ground. So when you go to the stores, or if you start them at home and you start them way too early and they're growing into the 4th or 5th week, they're going to look like this. They're going to start sending out flowers. Here is a female flower there. It has a little baby squash on there. This is the male flower right here. Here's a big male flower right there. These are about to flower. You don't want your squash and zucchini to look like this. Don't buy these, look at that. Don't buy these at stores, they're sort of past their prime. You're timing it so when it breaks the surface, germinates, 2 to 3 weeks, they get into the ground. Here's another one. Flowers are starting to form. Leaves are starting to yellow. They're fairly healthy color-wise, but they're just past their prime. So when you're going to the stores, it's real easy to buy them on sale. They start putting them on sale after these plants have been sitting around 4 or 5 weeks. They're going to be beat up. You just don't want them looking like that. How do you want them to look? Just like that. This is a squash plant. 1 leaf, 2 leaf, 3rd leaf coming. No flowers, nice and green, good size. About 2 or 3 weeks after germination, you want to be able to get them into the ground, and it'll look just like that. Cucumbers are very similar. Here are cucumber plants I started. These seeds were dropped right on the surface. You don't really want to do that. You could plant them to about this depth, they'll be okay. You want to push the cucumber seeds down just like you did the squash. You just put in 1, 2, 3 cucumbers. When you plant cucumbers, you can keep 2 or 3 in a planting hole actually, and you're just going to press them down. They were in there 1/2 inch deep. You can keep 2 or 3 in a planting hole. These are going to go on trellises. I'll show you that planting too. But make sure you drop the seeds down. You don't want them flopping over like that. They're going to be weak. The root system is going to start right on the top. These will break off easily. You want your cucumbers to look like that when you're going to plant them. 1 leaf, 2 leaf, 3 main leaves. After 2 or 3 weeks of growth, they look like this from germination again. They're ready to go in the ground. There's 3 here. They look pretty good. You could thin this down to 2 depending on the variety. The bush varieties, you can put 3 in a space. The varieties that will climb more, maybe you just want 2 in there. It just depends on how you want to set it up. But this is really important. Don't buy plants that are really old, flowering, have fruit on them. It's just not really worth it. Alright, so let's get to the planting hole. I set one up over there. We're going to do the same thing here. Show you the basic principle. You can adapt it as you want. You can add in different fertilizers if you want. But the whole key is going to be a nice, loose planting space for the root systems to grow in. So let's do the squash here, and then we'll go over to there and we'll do the cucumbers on the trellis. So this is just a very basic amendment I make. 2 shovelfuls worth of peat moss. Peat moss has no nutritional value. It will hold water, it will loosen soil. It's great if you have clay or heavier soil. And then in here is also 1 shovelful of topsoil and my 50-50 leaf grow. I don't have any compost. Got to make it this year, got to build up the composting stations. But this would be a great place too to add in a shovel full of compost. It could be 2 peat moss, 1 topsoil, 1 compost. Could be all compost. My point is, it doesn't have to be exactly as I'm showing you. You're trying to put in a lot of organic matter, matter that's going to hold water, matter that's going to loosen the soil. In that, I like to put in 2 or 3 tablespoons of any organic fertilizer, and I usually tell people to stay around a 5.55 NPK. It's fine if you have a 2.53 NPK, a 6.33 NPK. Just try and stay around that. You don't need to over stress about it. Mix it all together, and this is going to help build the planting hole for the squash, zucchini, cucumbers, make a nice mound. Even my watermelons, cucumber, or cantaloupe. And this is just more about principle. Something that's loose, holds water, has organic matter, has feed in it. And this is what I'm going to use really for all the planting holes. If you want to add in a handful of lime, if you're worried about calcium, you could do that now. I have red clay soil. Let's see if the camera picks it up. Plenty of micronutrients, second level macronutrients in there. I don't need to worry about that. If you have secrets, like, you know, you want to add in kelp meal or something that you think really gives you an edge, go ahead and do that. It's a lot of fun. I encourage you to experiment and try different things. Okay, so this is what you're going to see me adding into the hole. So we'll do this in real time. It really doesn't take that long. This is one of the raised beds where I just dropped in my raised bed mix. It was really that 50-50 compost, leaf grow and topsoil. So I'll be digging up some grass roots. It's all died off, but you basically want to go down a good 12 inches and dig the dirt out. And you can see, that's in camera. Well, I can see tons of ants. I got an ant problem this year. But you can see the red clay, great for micronutrients. So we go down about a foot. We're really setting this up for great root system development. We're going to put in some peat moss in your mix, however you want to do it, right in there. The rest I just put across the top. And we're going to mix this down, trying to go down 12 to, 18 inches is pretty far, 12, 14, 16 inches, but just nice and loose. This will hold moisture. You're not going to have to worry about the root system of your squash, of your zucchini, cucumbers, melons. It's really worth setting it up like this. Pull everything in. If you have heavier soil, red clay, break it up. Here's some grass that's died off. Break it up. Just toss them to the sides. Some grass coming up. Break everything up, pull it in. This is where you could put in another 1 or 2 tablespoons of the organic fertilizer right on top. And then you want to mix it in again. Just get it all blended together. It doesn't take long. It makes a huge difference. This is basically how I do my tomato plants too. And you're just going to mound it up. Now, if you were going to plant seeds, it'll be 1, 2 squash right there. Press it in 1/2 inch. Same thing for cucumbers, melons, cantaloupe. Water it in and you're good to go. So for the zucchini and squash, you usually want to keep 1 plant per growing area. And you can see the root system is not overgrown, looks really healthy, nice and green. I'm going to let these grow for a couple of days, make sure they establish, and then I'll pick one of the plants and keep them. If you're growing a bush variety, you could probably get away with 2. going to plant right to here. You don't want to go up too high. Press it in. You would water it in. That will establish your squash and zucchini plant. If you wanted to water it with some water-soluble fertilizer now, you could. There's plenty in here. I'll be doing that down the line, I don't know, 7, 10, 14 days. All right, let's go over to the cucumbers. So here's a cucumber. Set the hole up the exact way that I just showed you, so I figure you don't need to see that again. We're going to be growing this cucumber up this 8-foot trellis. I just did a video on it, and some people were concerned that these were about $15, $16 each. I didn't mention you can go to thrift stores, store closings, and often find these they're really inexpensive. So you can go to closeouts and find something like this for trellising. I'll be showing you other ways to do it too. So when you set the hole up right for your squash, zucchini, cucumbers, it's just super loose. You can do it one-handed while you hold the camera. We're going to go just to here, measure it out. I see more ants. If anyone has a solution for ants, that would be great. I'm actually using ant traps right now. One of the differences between this garden and my old garden is there's 4 or 5 different species, or whatever you want to call, of ants. You can see one there, and they're just all over the place. They are damaging my lettuce. Don't know if they're going to damage the rest, but I got to figure out a solution. So, that quick. Cucumbers in, looks great. Go to water it in. It's going to trellis itself right up here. I know this variety gets at least 8-foot vines. It's perfect. So I'm going to plant the rest of my squash and my cucumbers. I'll be doing a tour video of everything that's been going on probably tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this gives you an idea of how to really pick the right cucumbers, pick the right squash, when to start them so that when you get them into the ground, they look just like this. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make, is they buy the seed starts that are just too old. They have flowers on them, they have squash on them. You don't want that. They should look just like this. Second mistake is that they just put them into a hole that's not really set up, and set up like this, where everything is nice and loose. Root systems will develop. Cucumbers, zucchini will do well. Thanks for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. Good luck in your gardens, and I will see you in the next tour. Thanks for watching.